Hello, I'm Tony Anadio, and in this video, I'd like to offer a few pointers about writing formal history essays. These are some things that I've collected over the years. Different professors will have a different list. What I present is in no particular order, but these are just some of the things that I often point out to my students. The first one is when writing a formal history essay, the citation style that we use is Chicago style. So no MLA or APA, which are parenthetical citations. Chicago style is footnotes. So in Microsoft Word, you will see across the top toolbar, there'll be a tab that says References. You click References and then click Insert Footnote, and then it'll bring you to the bottom of the page. You put in your source and then click back into the body of the page and keep writing. Use proper capitalization. So first words of sentences are capitalized, as are proper nouns. If it's not a proper noun and not the beginning of a sentence, it doesn't get capitalized. So watch out for those sorts of things. Write in third person. So don't use I, we, you, us, none of that. We're writing about history. We want to be detached from it. Do not use contractions. Always spell things out. Do not end sentences with prepositions. Across, over, to, things like that. Just a grammatical rule. Don't end sentences with prepositions. Do not begin sentences with the word this. It's just bad grammar. When we use the word this, we tend to point to something like this is, and when we write, we're actually referring to something in the previous sentence, not in front of us. So it's just bad grammar. Do not begin paragraphs with the word another, because it makes your paper seem like you're just compiling a list. When writing history, use past tense verbs. It's really important. The verbs are often where students make errors. So use past tense verbs for one thing. But the other thing to watch out for is something called passive voice. This is very difficult for students to overcome because we're kind of bombarded with passive voice on TV all the time. But passive voice is a way to take a verb, which is an action word, and weaken it. So for starters, if you use past tense verbs, you might be able to avoid some instances of passive voice. However, if you use a past tense verb, do not precede that verb with the words was, were, or would, because that will make it passive. An example, the sentence, "The Parthenon was built by Pericles," is passive voice. You have the verb built, which is past tense, but you've preceded that with the word was. So what you want to do is use past tense verbs and then make direct connections between the actor and the action. So instead of saying the Parthenon was built by Pericles, you would say Pericles built the Parthenon. It's a much more direct and powerful sentence. Avoid absolutes. Words like always or never or all or none, because all it takes is one exception and you're done for. Avoid colloquialism. This is slang. So slang phrases like put it on the back burner or it's a roller coaster ride or things like that. Or even certain words, such as the one word students use a lot is huge. And they use it colloquially. I mean, the word huge means something which is physically large. So they'll use it in a way like, this was a huge reason for the Renaissance, or this was huge. That's very slang. We try to not do that in formal history papers. Do not editorialize. And by this, it means don't pass judgment. And there's a lot of ways we can pass judgment. Even with certain words, to say something is beautiful or amazing is passing judgment on it. We're just trying to be detached and objective. Avoid statements such as, in this essay, I will discuss. I think there was advice that teachers used to give students, that when you're writing an essay, first you say what you're going to say, then you say it, then you say you've said it. And it's just really bad advice. I would say just say what you want to say. Don't tell me you're going to do it. Just do it. You don't need to say things like as previously stated or as mentioned before. The reader will know, they'll keep track of what you're writing about, especially if it's a 10-page essay or something like that. It's not that long. And don't use in conclusion. Just conclude your paper and you're good. Do not make references to the modern day. We're trying to understand history on its own terms. Now, I want students to understand connections between history and today, for sure. But when we're writing a formal essay, unless the subject of the essay is a direct comparison between then and today, if you're just trying to understand the past, don't make references to the modern day, and definitely don't make them to pop culture. It's just informal. It's not good. Always ask and try to answer the questions: how, why, what does this mean, why is this important? That's what we do in the discipline of history. We're trying to answer questions. It isn't just the stuff that happens in the past. So as you write your essay, as you go through, use paragraphs, topic sentences, use examples, describe your example, and then offer some analysis. How did this happen? Why did this happen? Why is this important? What does this mean? And then lastly is proofread your work. When students finish their papers, they often think, okay, I got to the page 10, I'm done. You may not be done, just because you've finished the number of pages. Put it aside for a day or two, take it back out, reread it, and then see where you might have overlooked some things. Maybe you used a contraction, or maybe you started a sentence with the word this, or maybe you used I, or something like that. So always proofread your work. It's really, really important. So that's pretty much it. I just offer these few tips. Hopefully they will help you as you start to write your essays. Thank you very much.